Hi everyone, the Gay Guide here, and today we're going to talk about masturbation, or beating the meat, cranking your shank, whacking your willy, lubing your tube, greasing your pole, spanking your monkey, wrestling your one-eyed monster. I know I have more. Jerking your gherkin, whacking your willy, whatever you call it, jerking off. And everybody does it, right? There's a joke that says that 98% of men masturbate and the other 2% are lying. But I've seen actual studies that have done, well, surveys at least, that have basically put the number somewhere between 60 and 80%. And then for women, it's usually about half that. I am willing to bet that the actual number is probably a little bit higher than those numbers because people are embarrassed to admit that they masturbate. And the more religious you are, the less likely you are to admit to masturbation. And that's probably because, religious rules typically frown upon any kind of orgasm that doesn't have to do with procreation. So masturbation is usually food, which is silly. Lucky for you, I don't follow religious rules, so I am here to tell you all I've learned about masturbation in my many years of practice. So I don't really remember the first time I actually jerked off. I remember waking up from wet dreams. I remembered feeling amazing and waking up and suddenly there was like a wet gooiness in my blanket. And that happened a bunch of times, and I don't even really remember when I transitioned from it just happening in my dreams to me actually doing it. But I do remember there were a lot of crusty socks that I had to stuff under my bed that my poor mother probably found, definitely found. And I don't really remember when I transitioned into doing it every day, but that eventually happened. And, all throughout my teenage years and 20 years, at least once a day, I would masturbate. And I found that if I didn't, the next day, I would just be that much more horny and feel the urge to masturbate. And everything was sort of extra sensitive and, basically it felt really good. So if I did skip a day, the next day if I masturbated, I could reach orgasm real fast. And that sort of still holds true today. The longer I go between orgasms, the more sensitive I am, and the easier it is for me to reach orgasm the next time that I'm stimulated, no matter what that stimulation is. Now, that's not to say if I am having regular sex and orgasming regularly that I won't masturbate. I actually find that sometimes the opposite is true. If I'm having regular sex, then that usually means that sex is more on my mind and I'm thinking about it more often, which makes me hornier, which makes me jerk off. So it almost makes it a little worse. There are a lot of health benefits to masturbation as well. In general, it's fun, it feels good, it activates your pleasure center and relieves stress. Which also increases your positive mood. Orgasms release certain endorphins in your body that can help lower your blood pressure, help you sleep, and some of them can actually help boost your immune system, so it actually is pretty healthy to masturbate. And studies have shown that men who ejaculate at least 5 times per week are 1/3 less likely to get colon cancer. I like to think it has a few other benefits that aren't usually listed on the health benefits of orgasms. I think it really helps you get in tune with the pleasure triggers of your own body. And you can do lots of experimentations and try different things and see what feels good and what doesn't. And you can basically sort of build this sort of repertoire of little tricks that you can do to your body that can make it feel really good. It's also a great time to explore kinks, but I will have another video on that much later. Think of masturbation as orgasm practice. Now, there are some negatives to masturbation, of course. If you do it too much, there can be some skin and other irritations down in your genital area. And, with any other sort of pleasure center trigger, it can be addictive. And there are plenty of people who struggle with masturbation addiction. It's a great way to release a lot of good feeling chemicals in your brain. So of course, people will want to do it pretty often. If you think you may have a masturbation addiction, do seek professional help because I am no substitute for that. And too much masturbation comes with other problems, like you can have problems getting aroused in other ways. Your body just gets so used to the way you masturbate that, when you get into other situations where you want to get aroused, you may not be able to simply because your body isn't used to those sensations. And similar to the arousal problem, a lot of men experience the problem where they can't reach orgasm unless they're doing it with their own hand. And basically that's because you basically train your penis to respond to the sensations that you can provide through your hand, and it gets so used to those sensations that is the way that it likes to reach orgasm, basically. I actually know a lot of guys who have problems reaching orgasm unless they're using their own hand. In most extreme cases, there's something that Dan Savage calls the grip of death. And the way he explains it is that, you know, when you're young and you're first experimenting with masturbation, you probably don't have very much privacy and you don't want to get caught. So you go into maybe your bathroom and you try and rub one out really quick as fast as possible. And it's all about speed. It's all about reaching that point as soon as possible so you can be done with it and then move on with your day. And, you know, if that happens enough, you basically start getting this basically rock hard grip, which is that, you know, creates the most friction, it creates the most sensations. And as you get older, you have to grip tighter and tighter, and it just gets to the point where that's the only way that you can reach orgasm. And this is a real problem for a lot of men, and I have met some of them. And, you know, there are ways to overcome this too. The main way to overcome it is something that I recommend for masturbation anyway, which is moderation. You know, just don't do it so often. And particularly for those with the grip of death, you know, basically try and train your body not to reach orgasm that way. You know, don't let yourself reach orgasm using the grip of death. Basically withhold that orgasm from your body until it releases it in a different way. So just don't let yourself use that grip of death. Again, if you think this is a problem that you're suffering from, there are probably a lot better resources than me to actually help you through it. So I'll do some searching and I'll see what I can find, and I'll put some links down in the description below. Another great tip I have to overcome these problems is modification. And, you know, I really didn't have to struggle through this because basically my penis is moody. It likes different things at different times in order to reach orgasm. And, you know, usually I can tell what it needs when I first get started, but I have no control over it. You know, basically I had to do different things to try and figure it out. So I've done a lot of experimentation while I've been masturbating, and it's been really fun. I've learned a lot about my body and a lot about what brings me pleasure. And then I can take that knowledge and bring it to when I have, you know, sexual partners and sort of share that experience with them. But in general, I think it's a really good idea to do some experimenting and try some different things. You know, don't always do the same thing to reach orgasm the same way every single time. You know, try different things like playing with different parts, or you know, focus on the shaft, or focus on the head, or play with your balls a little bit, that sort of thing. Maybe pinch your nipples, get your butt involved. There's lots of things you can do to sort of enhance the experience, see what you like, and you know, see what brings you more pleasure. Another great practice that helps with this is something called edging. And so if masturbation is orgasm practice, edging is orgasm training. So basically what edging is when you're masturbating and you bring yourself closer and closer to that point of no return, but you don't cross that point. So you sort of slowly work your way up, those feelings start to get tingly, it really starts to feel good down there, you know you're getting close, and then you sort of slow down and back off. Maybe, you know, play with a different part, you know, change your stroke, you know, change where you're touching, do something different, and just sort of wait it out. And then you can slowly start to approach that point again and get closer and closer. But again, just don't cross the line. And basically you could just keep doing this and seeing how close you can get without actually crossing the line. And that really starts getting your juices going. And the more you have experience with it, the better you can get at staying in that zone where it feels really good and just really tingly, but you're not quite, you know, past that point of no return yet. And playing in that tingly zone is really fun. You can find some really fun things that makes your whole body feel really good while you're in the middle of that edging zone. And I definitely recommend you try doing that. And then when you're finally ready to cross that line and have your orgasm, I recommend that you hold it off until the last possible second. And what this edging also does is, because your juices are flowing and everything is going, you're actually generating a lot of seminal fluid. And so the longer you edge, actually the bigger your load is going to be when you actually orgasm. And I've also found that because you're generating these bigger loads, my balls have actually gotten bigger since I started doing this, which makes a lot of sense. You know, since they have to hold a lot more fluid, they naturally get bigger to do that. And again, all that knowledge that you're learning about your body when you're doing this edging practice, you can then take into when you have sex with a partner. You know, that will really teach you when to slow down, you know, when to approach the orgasm point and then back off a little. Maybe give your partner some attention during that time while you're sort of resetting and working your way back up. And basically, this is really the secret to making sex last for hours. So in conclusion, masturbate. But do it with moderation, but also do it with modifications. You know, it's fun, there are lots of health benefits, and it can really improve your sex life if you know what you're doing. You should never feel ashamed for masturbation. Just look at it as you practicing to be a better sex partner. And if you catch someone in the act, never make them feel ashamed for doing it either. In fact, why don't you offer them a helping hand? And I think that's all I have for you for today. Down in the comments below, tell me your favorite masturbation story, and I'll tell you about a time I got caught recently. You can leave those comments in any of my comment sections below, or you can email me at thegayguide@gmail.com. Of course, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with my upcoming topics. And in the meantime, get out there and be who you needed growing up.